Hello everybody, welcome. This is Tina and it is the 26th of October. I have been absent for a few days. I have been out of town and I have been stitching. So I wanted to share with you what I have been working on. I think the last thing I was able to share with you was my December quilt. So on October the 23rd, I decided I was going to start working on my Stand Up for Santa for my class that I will be taking in the Jingle Ball. And so I got the PDF from through an email from Hands On Design that had the pattern. Now the pattern calls for 20 count natural linen fabric and to stitch the piece with pearl cottons, and I calculated it up. I didn't have any 20 count anything, and I calculated the size that stand-up was going to be on 20 count linen, and I decided that was a little bit too big for me. But what I did have was a 28 count fabric. This fabric is tin roof gingham linen, and I've had it for a long time, and I think it's a beautiful piece of fabric. This is what the fabric looks like. This is very pretty tin roof gingham linen, 28 count. And I decided to do my Santa on that so that it would be just a wee bit smaller. And so I was able to just use the DMC, not have to use the pearl cotton. So Kathy, forgive me, but that's kind of what I wanted to do. So this is my Santa. The other thing I will tell you is that Kathy sent out an email notice to everyone letting us know that there was an error, that we should be using the ecru whisper thread. The whisper thread was to be used in the ball on the hat, the top of the Santa's head here, and this curvy part of his beard. And then you overstitch it with the whisper again to make that bit of a texture. I didn't have ecru colored whisper, I had white. So what I did instead is I followed the DMC color and I did the ecru colors in the beard and the white where it called for white in the beard. And then when I was done with that, I took my whisper thread that I had in my stash, which was white, and I did the back stitching, the embellishment stitching, I guess you'd call it, of the larger X's on the beard. And I think that they give it plenty of texture. I think it looks great. I think he's got a great little face. But my stand-up is going to be more like this tall, more like a 6 to 8 inch, 6-inch one instead of an 8 to 9 inch Santa. Anyway, that's how I did it. So I wound up starting on October 23rd. I started this piece after traveling out of town, and I put in 489 stitches, but then on the 24th, I put in 1,287 stitches. I stitched on him most of the day and finished this one. So this was my first finish on my trip with my stitching friends. So that was lovely. So that's Stand Up for Santa by Hands On Design, and it is what is being offered in her class on Jingle Ball. Now, if you have not already signed up for that class, you can still get the PDF. You can't get the kit, but you can sign up for the class and get the PDF. And I didn't get in there in time to get the kit, even though I registered right at 7 o'clock. I didn't make it, so I just went ahead and got the PDF. Signed up for the class so I can learn how to finish him. But now my class stitching, my pre-stitching is done. So I'm very excited about that. So when I finished that on the 24th, we stitched late into the night, the first night when I was with my buddies, and I decided that I needed to go ahead and stitch for my bingo call for that day, which was to stitch on something that was one of my 3 months to the finish line pieces, and the only one I had with me was my 12 Days of Christmas stocking number 12, the last one. So I pulled it out, and let's see if I can show you. Yep, here's a picture. So this is number 12. So I started it on the 24th, and I stitched 140 stitches on it. This is what the booklet looks like. I showed you, but I might not have held it up there long enough for you. And I wound up doing 140 stitches that night, and then on the 25th, I picked it right back up, and I went ahead and I finished it. So now all 12 are done. And here is the number 12, so that you can see mine on my Picture This Plus Dusk fabric, because they were called for black. But there's number 12. Now, all I have left to do on these are the beads. So I'm going to pull these back out probably, maybe even in the next day or two, and try to get all the beads on there where they go, so that when I'm ready to fully finish them, I will have all the embellishments done, and I won't have to worry about that either. But I have all 12 ready to go, and I will do the beading. I am going to make them into the tree ornaments just like they are done here. I do not have red cording yet, so I've got to decide what I'm going to do about that. If I'm going to make a bunch of red cording or see if I can buy some red cording. But we shall see. But that was my second finish for my weekend. Yay! That's it. I don't have any more finishes. But here's the interesting part. No, I do have another finish. I do have another finish. So the first one I did was my Stand Up for Santa. It was not a whip. It was a new start. So it didn't lower my whip number at all. Then my stocking number 12 was a new start. I started and finished it. So it didn't add to my whips, but it didn't lower them either. So then the next thing that I worked on the 25th, pardon me while I grab it, was a Patriotic start. And that is because I have decided that I'm going to go ahead and maybe do a couple of more of these every month in this year, to allow me to not have to start 2 every single month in 2026, and maybe have a month where I only have to start 1 if it's a bigger piece, and maybe I could put more stitches in that start. But anyway, this is my Tiny Town, my Patriotic Tiny Town that I've split up into. The original Tiny Town I split up into 4 30 by 40 ornaments, and then my frill measured 40 by 30, and so it fit just perfectly in that same little idea. And I'm going to make small ornaments to go on my patriotic tree. So those are the first 2 I've done. This was the one I did this weekend, the one that says Liberty. The way that it's split there is kind of cute. And I don't know if you can see it, but this has red on the inside, and all these 3 pinwheels do have buttons. I'm going to have to go look and see if I can find a little tiny child size button to go on each of those. But I have 1 more to finish off the original pattern, and then I can do the frill. I'm doing them all on this mystery blue fabric. I have no idea. It was a scrap. I don't know where it came from. So, but I have those in there. But I stitched 640 stitches in that little piece to start and finish that, and I finished it on the 25th, which was the same day I finished my 12 drummers drumming. So as I said, we were at a stitching event, and being at a stitching event meant we stayed up very late, 1:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, whatever. So that night late, I was trying to decide what else to stitch on. I had brought 3 more things, and my friend Donna said, "I want you to stitch on something that you have the most stitches left to do," because she didn't want to get another finish. She was teasing with me so bad. She got 2 finishes, and when I pulled ahead of her and got a 3rd one, she was like, "That's enough. You don't get any more." Well, I had this one with me as one of the ones I might want to work on, and I decided to do that. And so this one was one of my Christmas starts during July, Souris Noel, and it's like the cute little mama mouse with her baby mouse, and they are sitting in front of a cake and a present and a Christmas tree, and she's got a basket that looks like little presents hanging out of it or something. It's really cute. But when I picked this up, I had the top of the cake done, the little flower and the white part of that cake done, and one star above the cake. That was my start, and that's all I had done. I had not touched this since July. So I put in about 56 stitches on the 25th. And then when I got up this morning, I said, I'm going to work on it some more. And I did. And I wound up putting in another 595 stitches in it. And my needle's even still in it, because when it was time to go, I had to jump up and go. So let me move that so it's not detracting for you. And this is where I got to on this one. Let me move this to the side so I don't lose it and drop it on the floor. There we go. But you can see I finished the cake. I really did have that star, the flower, and the white part of the cake done. So I finished the whole cake and cake stand. I moved over and did the present that the little mouse is sitting on. And as you can see, I was almost finished with the shirt when it was time for us to pack up, clean up, and get out of the way. So that's what I did. But if you added those two together, I had something like 600 and something stitches. So that was a good progress on this one, especially since I hadn't touched it since July, which was wonderful. I am going to finish that little shirt before I take the needle out, and then I can put it away. But that was sort of my freebie, my extra that I was doing. That my first one was homework for what the class that's coming up, and then my 12th stocking was my 3-month to the finish line piece. And interestingly enough, my last call on bingo, which was on the 25th, was also a 3 months to the finish line. And if you recall, I worked on the drummer's drumming on the 25th until I finished it. So I had more than enough of 100 stitches. I had over 600 stitches that second day as well. So I got my black out on my bingo. I didn't get there first. This little color shape is supposed to be like a pumpkin for October, but I got all of them done. So now I've already put a copy of that in the group, and so they know I did it. And so I was happy that I was able to keep up with that, and I was really grateful that I had taken one piece with me that could meet the last 2 spots. I only had 2 spots to worry about. When I read what they were, I knew that one pattern could take care of it, and so that was what I did. So I knew I could keep up, and I could be safe with that. So that is the stitching I've done since I last spoke with you. So now let's talk a little bit about plans. So the first plan I want to talk to you about is Whip Go. Whip Go numbers for the month of November are numbers 22 and the number 3. So my number 22 is Let Love Reign. And my number 3 is Summer by the Sea. So there are 2 specific projects that I have to put 300 stitches in order to meet WIP Go for the month. So during the early part of November, I'll be doing that. So I wanted to let you know that. That's plan number 1. Plan number 2, I have gone ahead and worked on my acrostics for November. I've got 2 of them written down that I have. I've got monthly requirements, and I think I'll share those with you more so than each little thing on the acrostic. But my monthly requirements include finishing December quilt. It's a present for a friend for Christmas, and if I don't finish it in November so that I have time to frame it in December, I won't get it to her. So that is a big monthly requirement for me, is to finish my December quilt. This is where I left off on December quilt. So you can see I've got the doll and the teddy bear stitch, but I don't have any back stitching in here. I've got to finish all of this down here. There's a wagon that has toys in front of it. The quilt has to be finished. And the wagon just has 3 little ornaments in front of it until you get to the other end over here. And there's a house and a choo-choo train or something like that. So there's just a bit left to do, but it's a good bit of stitching, and I need to get that finished. So then I want to do 500 stitches in 2 of my projects to push them forward. So the 2 projects that I want to put 500 stitches in are Let Love Reign and The Wise Men, which is one that started, of course, back in July, which will be great. Since Let Love Reign is my WIP Go call, I'm going to get 300 stitches for that, and then I'll keep on going and get the next 200 to add to it, and that'll give me my monthly requirement for that. And then I wanted to start at least 2 Patriotic stitches in November, and I may up that to 3. I don't know, depends on what I got going on. But there you have it. Before I left for my weekend away, I actually had put on my monthly requirements to start and finish my 12th stocking. And I've already done that. So I didn't even wait to November to do that one, which is okay. So that's what I got going there. I am all ready for my bingo game. I've got my board made out. I'm just waiting on the design that they give us of what's going to be for bingo. And then I can submit the board to the group and let them see what I'm going to be working on. And other than that, I think those are the big plans that I have. I'm going to be spending about a week here at home with my family, with my hubby and Coco, doing all the things and stitching and just doing day-to-day activities. And then the next week I will be out of state. I'm going to visit some friends. I am going to be stitching a lot. They are stitchers, and I'm excited about that. My friend Donna is actually going to be with me, and she has to work long distance for part of the time because it's month end for her. But as long as she's willing to get her work done so many hours a day, she can play the other. So that'll be great. She'll be with me stitching. So that'll be fun. We're going to take a little road trip together. And I have no idea what I'll take with me yet. I haven't even begun to think about it. But as soon as I know, I'll share it with you. Thanks for letting me catch you up on everything. Didn't really have an opportunity to film where I was. I was at a guest at someone's home, and I didn't really have a way to get away by myself and film, and the people that were there didn't necessarily, they're not floss tubers. They don't really want to be on the videos, so I didn't worry about that. I just lived in the moment and I enjoyed it. And I will say that there were a lot of finishes. My friend Donna had 2 finishes. That is remarkable. Donna does not usually stitch that steadily when she's with other people. She loves to visit and talk with them while she's with them, but this time we were all stitching so seriously. I think that helped encourage her to do the same. But she buckled down and she got 2 finishes. They were 2 new starts and finishes, both. And so that was lovely. And then 2 of the other ladies that were there got 2 finishes each. And our hostess did some stitching, but she made us all bag pulls for different bags that we have. And one of them is right here for me. She made us this precious bag pull that had a frog on it. And you'll see my frog has a pink tummy, pink with flowers on it. And I thought it just matched this bag perfectly. And I had this bag with me without any jewelry. And so this scissor fob or bag pull became my jewelry for this little bag. So I thought that was just so cute. So, so cute. Anyway, I have 2 more. When I pull them out, I'll show them to you. But right now, I've got them safe in my packages with my whips and stuff. I can hear my husband cranking up the TV. We're going to watch an episode of one of our favorite shows together and spend the rest of the evening together. He was gracious enough to let me come up here and get all this recorded before I forgot anything. So I hope you've had a great weekend. I certainly have. And I'm ready to start the week off with a bang. So maybe that'll be good for you. Maybe there'll be a lot more stitching to see. Anyway, whatever you're working on, happy stitching, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is Dina, and today is the 27th of October. Boy, this month is almost over, isn't it? It's going by really, really fast. Today, I had a very productive day. I spent a good portion of my morning preparing for a stitching week that I'm going to have with some friends in Alabama. Well, we've rented a place in Alabama, and there will be 8 of us there. But we have several different games and things that we're going to do, and I'm in charge of a couple of those, so I had to check today and make sure I had all the supplies I needed, and I had to check and make sure I had my 3 starts that I want to do, because we're going to start 3 starts in 3 hours while we're there. One has to be something new in your stash, something that's a fairly new pattern that's been released. One has to be something very old in your stash that you've wanted to stitch for a long time and never got around to it. And then one has to be either a gift that you're going to stitch and give away to somebody, or it can be a new start on that uses something that was gifted to you, whether it be a pattern, the fabric, or the floss. So somehow it has to be affiliated with a gift. So those are the 3 things we needed to pick from to do our 3 starts in 3 hours. But I spent some time today to pick what my 3 were going to be. I have been toying with it back and forth, and finally today I sat down and made my mind what I was going to do. And then I put my first few stitches in. We're allowed to do that. It's not a timed thing, not a competition for how many stitches we get in. So you can put in your first 5 stitches, 10 stitches, whatever you're comfortable doing, so that you know where to start back again. And that way you don't spend a lot of your time calculating where you're going to start on your fabric, and your hour is ticking away because we only stitch on it for an hour, and then we stop, take a quick break to get refreshments or go to the restroom, and we start up again for the next new start. So we're literally starting 3 things back to back. And we do that near the beginning of the week so that we have them all to stitch on. So that gives you 3 new things to stitch on while you're together. So I pulled my patterns, and as it turned out, I had put fabric with one but no floss. I had another one that was fully kitted, and then I had a third one that is fully kitted. So I went ahead and finished kitting up the one that wasn't fully kitted, I checked several fabrics. The one I had pulled originally I felt like might be a little bit light, but the problem is the length. It is so wide. It's narrow, but wide. And it's so wide, I only had really one piece of fabric big enough. And that was probably why it was in there. The rest of what I had, the stitching would go from end to end. There would be no fabric at all left. And you can't have that. So, I stuck with what I had originally put in the bag. So, I got that all done. I got all my first stitches put in. So I did all the calculations on where to start and checked it and double checked it and then went ahead and got my first few stitches in. Left my threads hanging, so I'm ready for my new starts. So that's ready. Another thing I did is I'm going to be traveling quite a bit between now and the end of the year. But my sister Stephanie and I love to open our Christmas together on the telephone, even though we can't do it in person yet. We're hoping to in the near future, but this year we can't. And so we mail each other what we've selected for each other for Christmas, and then we open it together on the telephone. So when I would normally be mailing things to her, I'm going to be gone. And it hit me last night that I needed to get busy and get that in the mail to her. So I did that. I wrapped all the presents first and then put them in boxes to ship, and then wrapped up those 3 boxes and labeled them and took those to the post office today. So her Christmas is in the mail. And then I went to lunch with my husband, even though it was pouring rain. I had planned something for dinner, but I hadn't planned anything for lunch, and I've been out of town, so I hadn't had a chance to buy groceries or anything. So we went out to Cracker Barrel for lunch today, and then I did fix our ham sandwiches for supper tonight. These are heated ham and Swiss sandwiches. They're really good. Anyway, I didn't get to start stitching until very late this afternoon. It was probably around 5 or 6 before I started stitching, more like 5, and then I took a break to do supper. So, but I knew I had a Zoom call tonight at 7:30, and I wanted to go ahead and get started on whatever I was going to stitch. And so I rolled the dice, and my Peacock is what came up. So this is how it's going to look when it's finished. And this is how mine looks right now. I hope you can tell a big difference. I put in these 3 feathers over here, which completes this whole side of the peacock. It is the smaller of the 2 sides, but it is done now. So now I can go across. I can go ahead and do that green thread in here if I want to, so that I'm working my way this way. And then I'll be ready to do the feathers, the other feathers that are on this side that go down like this. It's like they go over his head and back around. And so there are 7 of those feathers. You can see 3 of them, maybe 4 of them in full, and others you'll see parts of them like this, where you get to see all the colors, but it may not be a full feather like this one is. But anyway, I did 3 tonight, and that was 491 stitches. So it was more than my 300 that I say I like to get before I roll again. So now I can roll the dice for tomorrow. Let's see what I'm going to stitch on. Now, tomorrow's going to be a difficult day. I have a very busy day. I'm getting my hair cut tomorrow at 9. And then I have to go by the bank and do some business for my husband and I. And then at 2 o'clock, I have to be at the gym to work out with my friends. And then tomorrow night at 7, I have a Zoom call. And it's my planning Zoom call with my buddies. So I have to be ready for that. I have to make sure I have all my acrostics figured out and all that, which I think I'm ready, but I want to check on that and make sure. And we may get a little stitching done once we finish with our planning. But that's what's on the my schedule for tomorrow. In between all of that, between my workout that gets over at 3 and my Zoom call at 7, I'm going to meet my friend Donna and help her unload the rest of her storage unit from when she moved. She's got a few boxes left and a bookcase, and my husband's going to take his truck over, as long as it's not pouring down rain, and get the bookcase and the rest of her boxes. Very little left, but she wants to be out by the end of the month so she doesn't have to rent it another month. And she's been working really hard to clean out her boxes that she already had in the garage, so she's made room for the new stuff to come in. So like I said, a busy day. It could possibly be that the only time I get to stitch is while I'm on my Zoom call tomorrow night. We shall see. So regardless, little or a lot, I'll share it with you. So thanks for letting me do that. Anyway, that's all for today. It's been a very busy day for me. That's stitching related because of me getting ready for my trip, but nothing to share other than my Peacock, and I am tickled to death with how far I got on that today. So that was good progress. I hope you've had a great day. I hope you're not experiencing bad weather. We are getting some fallout from a storm coming through, and so our temperatures right now are cold. They're around 50 right now, and it's raining. When it's cold and raining, it's really gets in your bones, feels very cold. I know some of you have a lot colder weather than that, but remember, we're in Georgia. We're not used to it. We're not used to cold weather like that, so we freeze. But anyway, yeah, I've been cold all day, and I have on a turtleneck shirt, and then I have on a sweater, so I'm still kind of cool. But we shall survive. Anyway, thanks for letting me share everything with you and ramble a bit as well. But I hope you have a great day tomorrow. I know I will. Even though it'll be busy, it'll be a good day. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'll see you soon. And in the meantime, happy stitching, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. This is Dina. It is October 28th. We are very fast approaching Halloween and the end of the month. But I wanted to show you my stitching so far today. This was my first die roll for this morning. I had actually said I might just pull out Let Love Rain and put some stitches in her today. I was just thinking about it last night, but then I decided I really needed to let the die roll decide to stay in the game that I'm working. So as it turned out, December Quilt came up, which is good, because this is a gift for a friend. And I was talking with her today, and she had a very close family member who's recently been diagnosed with cancer. And so they're going through chemo treatments and surgery and all kinds of things. And yesterday, or this past week, I think it really got to her. And she said she cried a lot and prayed a lot. So she's kind of sad. And I thought, ooh, I need to definitely finish this for her for Christmas. I've got to step it up. So today for the dice roll, I've got to do 300 stitches every time at least. And so I did 321. And let me show you what that did for me. So carrying it on across here, I got to working on that wagon, and I just decided to continue working on that wagon today. So I finished the front section of the wagon and the side here that you can see, and part of the side that's in the front of the wagon, the short little part of the wagon, I started putting in the brake pedals and our levers and things like that with that color as well. I did that, as you probably can tell, so that my spacing would be perfect, so that they would run correctly into what was going to be stitched below before I filled in that whole wagon. So I gave them top priority first, and then I filled in everything in that color, or those two colors. And now I can move around to the front and finish the front and come back up here and finish the back side of it. And then I'll probably go back up here and fill that in all the way down to the wagon. So right in here is where I'm working, kind of working my way from this side over. Now, I don't know what'll be called next when I roll the dice, but I am ready to roll it. And I am hoping that I can stitch at least part of that this evening. I do have a Zoom call with my planning friends, and we're going to go over our acrostics and goals for the coming month for November. And so I'm looking forward to that. Can't wait to talk to them this evening. And I have excellent news today. We've heard from our son today, and he is going to get to have some time off in the month of November. Only 3 days, but 3 days in a row, which is great. And so we have put together a plan where we will take Coco to her favorite sitter, and then we will run on down to pick up our son and head over to a beach town for a couple of days. So I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I'm going to let you get back to what you were stitching. I'm hoping to do more stitching tonight, so maybe I'll be back and share some more with you. We shall see. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. This is the 29th of October, and I'm here to share some stitching with you today. Yesterday, I rolled the dice, and I was able to stitch on Let Love Rain for 300 stitches, and I put it away for the evening. I went and did some other things with my hubby, and then this morning I rolled the dice, and guess what I got? Let Love Rain. So today I've put in 405 stitches because I had a goal. I'll share it with you. I wanted to finish this motif. I'd been working on it, and I had been working some on the border, bringing that down on both sides a little bit. And so today I just buckled on down and finished up that motif. So now I can move my piece up probably to about right here. Not as far as I would like to move it, but I haven't gotten that finished, and I haven't brought that all the way down yet. But I can move it up some so that I can get to this a little bit better. But I am thrilled to death. Now, what do I have left? I have one row left of items. These are motifs all the way across, and that includes a man and a woman. And then I bring the border on down, and I go down below and do the border across the bottom. So I have one row left and the bottom border, finishing the side borders. But this is about how much I have left right here. This amount of space and these flowers around. So it's looking good for a finish before June, which was the goal. And I'm happy about that. So it is on my monthly requirement for November to work 500 stitches in it. And it's also in an acrostic, one of my acrostics. Now, I haven't seen the acrostic for the Cross Stitchers Journal and Daily 30 Sal group, which is the one that requires 300 stitches on whatever you do in it. I haven't seen that one yet. It comes out the 1st. But I have my acrostics for both the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch and the Magazine Monthly Challenge group. And so I have assigned things to them. And you'll be happy to know that I've tried to assign things to them that are not what I've been working on. Although I do have, let me see, my December quilt is in one of them, and my Let Love Rain is in the other. one time. But for the rest of those 2 acrostics, I'm working on things I haven't touched in a little while. I'm glad about that because I'm missing them. And since I have pushed so much of my 3 months to the finish line to a finish, I literally have only one original piece, which is my December quilt, to finish. I have one of my initial alternates, which is my Peacock, to finish. And I have one of my second round of alternates left to finish, which is Let Love Rain. So I really only have 3 things that I can stitch on when I roll the die. So I think in the month of November, I'm going to consider my 3 months to the finish line complete, as well as I can. And I will continue to work on those pieces quite frequently. At least once a week, I'll pull one of them out and I'll work on it for 3 months to the finish line. And I will again put at least 300 stitches in it. And that way I'll keep it going, but it may only be once a week that I do something on it until I finish all those acrostics. And then when I finish the acrostics, I'm probably going to go back to just those 3 for the last few days of the month so that I can make some progress. But I'm going to be traveling a lot in November, and that starts Sunday. So I'm going to be gone for a whole week starting this coming Sunday. And then I'll be home for a week, and then I'm going to be gone another week visiting with my son. My husband and I are going to get to go on vacation with him. And then I will come back for about another week, about 2 weeks. And then I have another long weekend with friends, and then I get back from that on the 7th of December. And on the 9th of December, my husband and I fly out for a cruise. And we'll be gone a long time. So I will have to be planning ahead on what am I going to be able to take with me on all these different trips. And luckily for me, this coming week we're driving, and I'll be able to fill my car full so I can take anything I want to in the coming week. When I go to vacation with my son, I can take whatever I want because I'll be driving. But when we head to the cruise, that's when it gets tricky because we have to fly, and I won't be able to take as much with me, especially not a lot of the roller frame stuff. I could take a roller frame with me and take my project off, but again, I have projects on roller frames that are such different sizes that I can't take just one roller frame with me. I would literally have to take probably all but 1 or 2 because they're all different. I bought them for the sizes of the fabrics that I normally work on, and I've got quite a few different widths of fabric because some of them I turn with the smaller end up, and some of them you have to turn this way. So I've got small and I've got really large. So the really large are okay in the car, but they're not okay for to fly, but that's okay. So that's another reason why I've put such variety in for my November acrostics, because with my travels, then I can take some of the ones that are on roller frames in the beginning of the month and hit those acrostics. And then those that are not on roller frames that I use Q-snaps or are on small roller frames that would fit in a suitcase, I can take those with me on the cruise. So that's kind of where I'm headed. That's what I'm looking at anyway. But I'm really tickled about my Let Love Rain and getting that row almost completed. I've just got a little of the border to do at that section. This afternoon, in fact, in about 45 minutes, I will be talking to my friend Marissa from Canada, and we will be stitching and talking. And so I've got to put this away now that I've done 705 stitches in it in the last 2 days. I'm going to pick up something different, something easy that I can work on while I'm visiting with my friend. So that'll be a good thing. Anyway, until we get a chance to talk again, I'm wishing you happy stitching. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. This is Dina. It is later on the 30th of October. Well, I did find something simpler to stitch on for my Zoom call with my friend Marissa. We had a ball. She has been working really hard and had been stitching a lot whenever she could grab a project. And so we got to talk about all of that together, plans for the coming few weeks and next year, and just caught up with each other. It was wonderful. So thank you, Marissa, for all the time you gave me today. So while we were stitching, I started something new. And I started it differently than I said I was going to do it. So let me tell you about it. I originally stitched the Nativity Tiny Town. And I finished it a while back. And I said I was going to try to do like a few lines open and then put the 3 shepherds on one side and the 3 wise men on the other. And then 2 things happened. One, I got to thinking about that. And contrary to some popular nativity scenes, the wise men didn't show up at the manger. They didn't show up for a couple of years. But the shepherds did. So I went ahead, I decided I wanted to put the shepherds there, but to drop below and just put the 3 on one little part wasn't going to look right. So what I did instead is I stitched them separately. So here are the 3 shepherds. I used my sparkly Krynic 002P. I just pulled it out of my stash for these stars because I didn't have any of the little metal ones that came with the original Tiny Town. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. It's on the backside. That doesn't help you. These little metal stars, I didn't have any more of those. They came with the original pattern, and you only got 2. And I used the 2 as they demonstrated in the pattern. So I just used sparkly Krynic to mimic them where they were called for in this pattern. And here's what I'm thinking. I think I'm going to make this into a drum. And then I'm going to do this one as a flat fold. And the second thing that happened, because I mentioned 2 things happened. The second thing that happened is I have misplaced my pattern for the 3 wise men. I'm going to have to look until I can find it. And once I find it, then I will have to find a piece of fabric that will complement this, because I didn't know exactly how that was going to stitch up. And if I had stitched it way over here, I could have got them both on here, but I didn't know that. Didn't know that. So I don't think that I would have room to do it anywhere else on here and leave myself enough margin for everything that I want to do. So I'll just have to find something that's similar to this, because I don't think I have another one of these in my stash. And but I'll find something that will complement it. And eventually I may stitch the 3 wise men to be a flat fold as well. So my idea is to make this a flat fold that will stand to the side of my drum. And then eventually I will do the 3 wise men, and I can stand them on the other side of the drum and make a pretty little grouping of 3. But the good news is now, because this is all the patterns I can find, I'm considering this a finish finally. I had not considered it a finish of Nativity Tiny Town because I was going to put both the shepherds and the wise men at the bottom, and I was going to wait till I had it all in there before I considered it complete. But now I have everything in that I have, so I'm going to consider it complete, because there's no telling when I'll find that other chart. Anyway, I have another finish. I'm ecstatic about that, and I can hear Donna now saying, "Of course you did." I do need to tell you guys, she's teasing me when she does that. I've had a couple of people in the past who were a little bit feeling bad for me, thinking that I was really being harassed or made fun of, and that's not the case at all. Donna and I love to tease each other, and it's all in good fun. So another finish. So I'm gonna think about what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I believe is gonna be my temperature tree, because as soon as the temperature reaches the projected high of the day, then I've got all the numbers I need, and I could go ahead and stitch that tomorrow before I start my November stuff on the 1st. So if I have time, tomorrow's crazy busy day, but the rest of the week is. When you get ready to go out of town, you have everything in the world you have to do before you get out the door, and it all kind of hits at one time. So that's what's happening to me tomorrow. But there you go. So here again is the 3 shepherds with their sheep. This one's holding one. And these 2 have them down at their feet. Now, I didn't do the called for colors completely on this one. I didn't have them all pulled. What I had was what I used over here. So I went ahead and used what I had for the first one, converted these colors to use almost all of those. I did have to pull this blue because I hadn't had a blue before, and I like blue, so I wanted to keep it in there. And I did have to go pull this purpley color because I hadn't used it before. Then I decided for the white that it called for the sheep, I didn't have that color at all. So I went into my stash and pulled out White Lightning by Weeks Dye Works, because if you can see, it's got white and gray in it. And I thought that would look perfect on the sheep that had come in from the field. You know, they might not be pristinely clean. So I think that turned out really cute. Really liked it. And I used grits on his beard so it wouldn't be exactly the same color as the sheep. So it was on the original pattern, but I didn't. I made his grits so that would be whiter all the way through. And then these are kind of white and silvery colored as you go. So there you have it. Nativity Town and the frill that goes with it. So thanks for letting me share that with you. I'm going to call it a night, and it's after 10, and I'm going to go down and spend some time with my husband and my puppy, and she had her grooming today, and she did so well, and I asked them not to cut her as short as they have been for her summer cut, because now it's getting colder, and I want her to have a little more fur on her to keep her warm. So they did a really good job and did exactly what I asked them to do. So I was very happy to see that. So Coco says hello. I do have a little bit of footage for you from her, and it's at a local college. And I may have told you this already, but my husband takes her walking there a lot. And he messaged me the other day and he said, I've got pictures of you to put on your video of Coco going back to school. She's in college now. And of course, she was at the campus, but she's not a student, of course. But he was trying to make it sound like that. It was cute. But I'll put those in for you, and you can see her all around that college campus that he was walking her at here in town. And I think it turned out just so cute. So I'll put that at the end of the video. And in the meantime, until I can chat with you again, happy stitching. Happy Halloween, everybody. Welcome. This is Dina. It is October 31st. Isn't that amazing? I can't believe this month is over. Well, we are all ready in case we have any trick-or-treaters for tonight. We had about 21 to 24, somewhere in there last year. I can't remember, but it wasn't that many. I'm prepared. in case I have them. But today I spent my morning talking to my sister Stephanie, and then I was able to go with my friend Juliana and her mama to lunch. And then I stitched at Juliana's house this afternoon, and came home from there and have been packing and getting ready for my trip. And now I am going to film this little segment here, and then I'm going to try to put my video, start putting it together, because I want it to be ready to go up on November 1st. And it may take me the evening to get all that with all the trick-or-treaters if I have any. So let me talk to you about my stitching. So yesterday I decided to stitch on my temperature tree. I had all but the last day of the month's high, and I decided to put in all the leaves but one, and then this morning, bright and early, I finished off the last leaf. So there is the October branch. That's October. The next one will be November, and then there's December at the bottom. This has been so much fun. I have enjoyed it thoroughly. And I think part of the reason I have enjoyed it so much is that I did my tree first. So if you do this pattern, I highly recommend you do that, because then you're not worried about where your branches are going to be. Everything's there. You've got your outline. You got your bones, for the tree. And so I have all of the leaves there. You can see it start getting cooler as the colors get cooler. They go into the green, blue-green colors, more like what you see down here, which would have been January. So we're getting closer and closer to that. So that is finished for October. I'm not counting this a finish until it's completely done, but I do hope to get it finished on January 1st. That would be awesome to be able to put my last little leaf in. I may do the same thing the next 2 months, put in everything but the last day or two, or, whenever I have time to stitch on it, and then just finish it up that last moment that I have. So then I was looking for something to take with me to my friend Juliana's house to stitch, and I wanted something that was going to be fairly easy to stitch on. And there's not a better pattern to try to stitch on than one that's large and easy to read. And so that would be this one. This is An Ode to a Good Dog, and this is from Maximum Cross Stitch from Ellen. And so I just wanted to share with you that I had finished, the last time we spoke, I had finished the last of the lettering, and I had brought the border down on one side all the way to the bottom. So today I decided just to move over, just keep going across. So that's what I did. And what you'll see here is I did the letter D. That was my initial. I substituted in for what was there before. I did this motif, and I came down and I did this entire berry bowl, which is wonderful. And the only thing below that is the grass, the checkerboard or diamond shaped grass that's down here. So I think what I'm going to do now, the next time I pick it up, is I'll do the little puppy dog and the tree. And then there's a house and another tree, a heart, a motif that looks exactly like this one, but different colors. And then there's another initial, which for me will be Tommy, T. And then there's another berry bowl that is the inverse of this one. So the colors are in the exact opposite corners for these two colors here anyway. And but it'll look very much like that. And then I have to do that big floor and pull this border over here all the way down to the bottom, because it stops right in here somewhere. But I am starting to just work my way this way. But I did 594 stitches in it today at my friend's house. So I think that was awesome. Absolutely awesome. So I'm going to put it away now. I'm done on it for the day. I think that's going to be it for now. I would really like to put some more stitches in one of my 3 months to the finish line. I had to think. So that I can get that done before I leave for my trip. Have another time of stitching on it this week, and I won't wait and put that in this video. I'll put that in the next video But I have really got a drive. I would really like to finish my border on down to the point where I could roll it up just a little bit more. I'd love to be able to get that whole next row in my workspace so that I could not have to roll it again until I'm doing the bottom border. And to do that, I'm going to have to do a couple of flowers, one on one side and one on the other of the border to get it done. So that may be what I try to accomplish tonight if I can while I am answering the door. So we shall see. You know, it's a hard night for Coco. Coco does not like strangers at the house. She does not like people coming up in the yard. She's highly protective of us and the home. And it just distresses her terribly. So I tend to leave my light on just long enough for the little neighborhood children, the younger ones, to come by. And then as soon as I think all of them have been here, I tend to cut the lights out. And so those that are driving into the neighborhood from somewhere else that don't live here, or, you know, or late trick-or-treaters maybe that have been other places and they're just kind of catching here, I just don't worry about them as much. I just want these little children to get plenty of their Halloween treats, you know. But I need to try to keep the environment calmer for Coco. She can see out the window. She sees them walking up the street with their flashlights, and it upsets her. So we try to pull down the shades where she can't see, but she hears them. She hears them. So Halloween night is a hard night for her. It really is. So we'll hope that she does well this evening. Donna and I had talked a little bit about maybe her bringing Harley over because he loves everybody and he could greet everybody on the porch and talk to them, and that maybe my husband could take Coco down in the basement and play ball with her or do something with her that gets her away from seeing everything. But as I mentioned, we're leaving town Sunday, and Donna's working, you know, all the way up to this evening. And so she has a lot to do to get ready to go. So I think we talked about it just a few minutes ago, and she's got things she would really like to get done tonight so that her day tomorrow is not quite so full. I think that's probably a good idea for her, even though I will miss her tonight. But I'm excited that she's going to get to go with me. So I'm going to put this away. I'm going to get out my Let Love Rain, or my... I think in my Let Love Rain, I'm going to just, rather than roll the dice, I'm just going to pick that one to work on today. And then tomorrow, if I get a chance to work on anything, I could work on my December quilt or my Peacock. And then I can take Peacock with me. And I think I'm going to have to take my December quilt with me. It's not that big on the roller frame. I could easily put it in the car, but I need to get some work on it. And I hate to miss a whole week of not working on it. I think that would be tough. So that's what I plan on doing. And I will share it with you as time goes by. I hope you have a great weekend. We're heading into the weekend now, and I really do hope that you have a wonderful time. And I'll talk to you again soon. Until then, happy stitching, everybody.